Good morning. My name is Vicki. I'm an Extension Master Food Volunteer, class of 2017. And this morning I'm going to demonstrate for you how to prepare a basic vinaigrette dressing. I think you're going to love this recipe, and I hope that you all have a copy of it, because once you get past the basic ingredients of your oil and your acid, there are all sorts of options that we have added here so that you can customize this recipe any way you like. One thing I wanted to mention about vinaigrettes, they're very different from, say, a store-bought dressing that you purchase that has emulsifiers already in it. By emulsifiers, I mean things that help hold the ingredients in suspension in your dressing. Your vinaigrette is basically composed of two ingredients, an oil and an acid. And we'll talk about the various varieties of acids, but it's primarily a vinegar or lemon juice. But you'll notice that they separate out. That's what vinaigrettes do, because your oil and your water don't mix. So whenever you make a vinaigrette, you need to make sure that before every time you use it, you shake it so that all of the ingredients are held in suspension. Okay, so let's get started. The first thing, always wash your hands. Always wash your hands before you cook, before you prepare any food. And in your kitchen, if you have a kitchen towel that you use primarily for hand drying, that's fine, but just make sure that everybody in your family understands that that's what that towel is for and not for drying dishes. If you can't do that, then make sure that you use a paper towel so that you can throw it away. Okay, the first ingredient in our vinaigrette is olive oil. And I'm choosing olive oil because it's heart healthy, okay? And the one thing that's good about a vinaigrette as well is that it's very flexible on the amounts of ingredients that you add. And for this, since I'm making this for my family, I'm going to add a cup of olive oil because we eat a lot of salads. And I'm going to show you, when you measure liquids, make sure that you use a liquid measure that has a pour spout. Okay, so that you can see exactly how much you are measuring. You use your liquid measure for liquids and a dry measure that you can level off for your dry ingredients. Okay, so we've got a cup of olive oil, and I'm going to put it, I like to make my dressings in a mason jar because they store so easily in the refrigerator, and it's easy to mix them. I'm going to add my oil. And if you don't have a mason jar, you'll have to prepare your dressing in a bowl and use a whisk to mix it up, then put it into something that you can store in the refrigerator. So I've got my cup of olive oil, and now I need, excuse me, a quarter of a cup of my acid, and I'm choosing lemon juice for my acid. Okay, so we have our two main ingredients in here. We've got our oil and our acid, and again, the acid that we opted to use was lemon juice, and you can see how that's separated out. So now I'm going to add my salt and pepper. And one thing that I wanted to mention is whenever I cook just about anything, I always measure out my ingredients in advance, and I think you'll find that if you can get in the habit of doing that, that your cooking processes will go smoother, you'll be more efficient, and you won't forget any of the ingredients. So here's my salt and pepper, and I choose to use ground pepper because I think it's more flavorful, along with kosher salt because it also has more flavor. We'll add that in. And then if you go down on your recipe and you see all of the options that can be added, these are wonderful. Shallot or garlic will add lots of flavor. Grainy mustard or Dijon mustard, always a good option. Your minced herbs, light, fresh. And if you are concerned about the sodium in your diet, your herbs will add lots of flavor and you can decrease the amount of sodium. Now I choose to use fresh herbs primarily because in the summer I grow thyme and rosemary and a couple of other herbs. So I've added fresh herbs to my vinaigrette, and I ground them up. I like to use a processor for grinding my herbs because it makes the particles finer and they hold in suspension longer. And then I like to use Parmesan cheese in my vinaigrette as well because it has so much flavor. It's a nice hard cheese, a little bit lower in fat, and you can buy it in a block and it's easy to grate, especially if you have one of these microplanes. It grates very fine, and again, we'll hold these in suspension. So I'm going to add my Parmesan cheese. Okay. A couple of the other, honey was the only other option that you could choose. The honey will balance the acid. So if you prefer a little sweeter vinaigrette, then honey would be a great choice for you. Okay, so I'm going to shake this up. And see, there you have it. It's held in suspension, but again, you have to shake it every time you use it because see what happens after just a few minutes with your oil and water. Okay. Let me talk a little bit about the acids. I chose to use lemon juice in this particular vinaigrette, but any kind of vinegar is fine. Red wine, if you have a boutique vinegar, red or apple cider, or even I've used white wine vinegar. All good choices. And the oil that I decided to use in this is olive oil. And the reason that I like olive oil is because it's a monosaturated oil, which means that it's heart healthy. And it's important, I think, to understand that all foods fit into your diet. You can't get everything that you need from any one food, so a variety is very, very important. And fats, even though they are concentrated in calories, they're a very nutrient-dense food, they have a role, and we certainly need it in smaller amounts than a lot of the other foods that we eat. But your fats are a medium for transporting your fatty acids, vitamins A, D, E, and K, which we need for healthy immune systems. Very important now. So a little bit goes a long way, but make wise choices when you're choosing your fats. and olive oil is one of those. Okay, I think I have gone through everything. You have your wonderful vinaigrette that you're going to shake before every use. If you make it in a jar, it's easily stored. You have your recipe with all of your options, and I hope that you will have fun trying out the various options to see which one you like the best. Okay. So the most important thing after you prepare any dish or a basic vinaigrette is to taste. And I have my very special taster here, Miss Avery, and she's going to give this a taste and see if we have all of the ingredients in the correct proportions or if we need to add anything. So whenever you taste, take a little bit out into another bowl. Okay. And you can take a little lettuce leaf and we'll dip it in here. Okay. What do you think? I think we've got it. All right. Thank you. And enjoy your dressing.